these teachings are very deep, and it's interesting that Swami starts off the new year with these kinds of very esoteric, very deep and profound teachings. And it's one of the reasons why I recommend people come to the Raja Yoga series every time it's offered, because every time you study these things, you get a little bit more perception, a little bit deeper understanding of what this is all about. The song that we sang, simple as it is, life is a dream, encapsulates so much of what this world is like. The scriptures tell us that life is a dream. As Swami reads here, the universe is not separate from God the Creator, but a part of Him, even as our own dream creations during sleep are figments of our own consciousness. This world is a dream. And we may have heard that, and that's okay, yeah, I've heard that song. I know that. But to realize it, to have that be part of your deepest consciousness, that's something else altogether. We have to keep studying, keep doing the spiritual practices and going deeper and deeper into them so that we can realize this life as a dream. The scriptures say that God has 8 aspects: peace, calmness, love, joy, sound, light, power, wisdom. Those are the 8 manifestations of God. Those are the 8 ways in which we can experience God. And of all those 8 ways, power, wisdom, peace, calmness, love, joy, light, and sound, there's one way that's the easiest. Sound is the easiest. Why? Why sound? Because as the readings have been telling us, God, in the beginning was the Word, and the Word was with God, and the Word was God. That Word was a sound of Om. The Bible says, God said, let there be light, and there was light. God moved across the waters. There was movement, there was vibration, there was sound. The scriptures tell us that God spoke, and close to Him became the causal world. As that vibration went out further, it became the astral world. And as that vibration reached farther still, it became the material, physical world. But there is nothing, as the Bible also says, there's nothing made that was not made of God, meaning that every atom of creation, every atom of our own bodies, every atom of our minds is instilled with that cosmic vibration. Why is music so important? Why does it have that ability to, as Shakespeare said, knit the raveled sleeve of care, to soothe the savage beast? Why does music have so much power? Because it's vibration, and we, in our essential nature, are vibration. And so, for example, Yogananda created 60 cosmic chants. You can buy the book in the boutique. There's 60 cosmic chants in there. And some of them he translated from ancient Indian chants. Some of them one of them is from Guru Nanak from centuries ago, and ancient Bengali, Door of My Heart, many, many chants, and then some that he composed himself. But each one of those chants, he chanted, he sang, and a chant is repeated. There's a power in that repetition that, like the affirmation, it helps the words and the vibration to go deeper and deeper into our subconscious and then into our superconscious minds. He chanted each one of those chants until he received an experience of God. God came to him in each one of those chants. That's like opening up a door from this vibration into the heavenly vibration. That's why we chant every service, every program. We have a program dedicated to chanting called Kirtan. We have that once a month, sometimes more often. We do lots of music in this path. We do lots of chanting because it is so powerful, because it opens the heart, because it helps us to understand who we really are and what our purpose is. We are hypnotized in the dream. If you've ever had a child by the hand and are leading them through an amusement park or Disneyland or just down the street at Christmas time when there's lots of bells and lights and Santa Claus on the corner, you know what distraction can be. And if you tell that little child, Daddy is waiting, we have to get there. Okay, yes, I remembered. I love Daddy. I want to get to Daddy. But there's all these things. Look at those toys in the shop window. Look at this. Look at that. You have to keep patiently bringing the child along to the goal. That's what we have to do with our own minds. Our minds want to get excited, get fearful, get worried, get caught up in that new couch that's just I've got to research every couch in the universe until I get the absolute best one, or the best car, or the best house, or the best partner, or the best whatever. We get distracted. As Yogananda said, we get caught up in watching the movie that is so dramatic and so full of tension and problems, and when will there be a resolution? But Master said, look at the beam that's projecting the movie. Go back to the beam of light. That's why the Bible tells us to be still and know that I am God. That stillness is what we have to fight for. Just like that little child, bringing that little child down the street. We have to work with our own minds, work with our own hearts, and get to the point where we can be perfectly still so that we can see the reality. Don't be hypnotized by the dream anymore. And if you weren't striving in your heart for something more than this hypnotizing movie, you wouldn't be here. Master said that it takes very, very, very good karma even to want to know God. even to want to go behind this hypnosis of Maya, of delusion, and find the truth. We are all here for the truth. We are all here in this room, in this Ananda community, this path, to help each other remember to look at that beam of light, to not get caught up, but to go into the stillness so that we can realize who we really are. God bless you.
I'm reminded of, as Nirmala was speaking, the dream nature of this world reminds me of the first time or two that I watched as a child the movie The Wizard of Oz. And she was saying it takes very, very, very good karma even to want to know God. And we wouldn't be in the room, we wouldn't be here, we wouldn't be interested if we didn't want a little bit more. And we want to look behind the beam. We'll look behind the curtain was the image that struck me, because in that critical scene, as we might all remember, in The Wizard of Oz, they're in the temple or the whatever, that huge hall, and the scary voice is shouting at them from up on the front. God, he was so mean. He just scared the daylights out of. You know, when you think about movies today, I mean, a movie that's rated PG-13, would never have even been made back then. But nevertheless, The Wizard of Oz was a very scary movie. I mean, the Wicked Witch of the West, oh my Lord, scared the daylights out of me. Anyway, but at this critical moment, who wins the day? Toto, the little dog, figures it out that there's something going on behind that curtain back there. And, goes in and tugs on the pants leg of the wizard. And anyway, sooner or later the curtain comes back and there they see the truth. Now, bear in mind that the truth we're aiming at is a little more glorious than the Wizard of Oz back there working the controls and making the scary voice and all that. But there's something more for all of us. This today, the reading is speaking of the Word that was with God, the Word that was God, and create the light that shines in darkness, and the darkness comprehended it not. And actually, I'm skipping slightly ahead to next week's reading, because next week's reading talks about the darkness comprehended it not and all the questions, the attendant questions. But take a moment right now to step away from the planet for a minute or two while we have this little visualization. We all spend a lot of time on this planet. Have you ever noticed that? We're all sort of here. There's a few guys up on the space station. Okay, they're off the planet. Every time we get in an airplane, we're sort of off the planet. We get a little bit of a view and we look down from 35,000 feet. Okay, fine. It's nice. It's fine. It's fun a few times. After that, the frequent flyer miles pile up, and the sense of strain and are we there yet, Mommy, grows in us. But anyway, step away for a moment from this planet. Go out in space. Yes, you have plenty of oxygen. Your suit or your capsule or whatever it is, actually your space suit has tons of oxygen. No problem, no strain, no thought of running out. Go out to somewhere around Jupiter, or maybe out towards Saturn. So you could turn around and you could face the sun and it wouldn't burn your eyes out. It's out there in the distance. You can see that light. Now turn sideways from it, or turn with your back to it. So now you can't see the light of the sun, and yet that light is whizzing by you all the time. The photons of that star are passing by you. If you hold up a piece of paper next to you and look at the piece of paper, The piece of paper will be illuminated a little bit by the light of the sun. If you take a mirror and you hold it up and you fiddle around with the angle of it, you can get the angle of that mirror to show you the sun, to the side of you or behind you, wherever it is. Those photons then are coming into your eyes and you can perceive them. You are at that moment aware of that light. Doesn't mean that the light wasn't there all the time. The light was shining through that darkness. It's passing by it, but we're not aware of it unless we turn and face it, or unless it is reflected to us in one form or another. We are, all of us, mirrors or pieces of paper or whatever you want to call it. We are, all of us, reflecting that light. That light is shining on the projection screen, as Nirmala pointed out, on the movie screen of life. We are, all of us, being projected onto that screen. And now, some of us are consciously trying to be instruments for that light, trying to share more of that light with others. And this is the part that, yes, it takes very, very, very good karma even to want to know God, because that means we've come to the place where we say, I know there's more. I know there's more than what I know now, because from the time I was a child going to school, there was always one more grade, and one more grade after that. And there was always the next thing that I hadn't learned yet. I think I've told this story before, but I was very concerned in about the second grade, because in the third, I think it was second and third, could have been third and fourth, I don't remember exactly. But anyway, I was at the point of demarcation where in math class, the next year they did fractions. Fractions were hard. Fractions were not fun. Fractions were, what is a fourth plus, 3/7? I was like, I don't know what a fourth plus 3/7 is. What do you do with that, And I went to my dad and I said, I don't want to go on to third grade or whatever it is, because they're going to do fractions there. And he just, bless my dad. He was very insightful in this regard. He said, you know what, kid, when you get there, it's going to be just fine. You'll handle it just like everybody else is handling it. You can do it. Well, like life, there are a million gradations of what is the next step. Well, the next step, maybe they do fractions, and maybe you've never done fractions before, and you go, I don't know that I can do that. But yes, you can. And we are blessed with, our board of directors behind me, you might say, those who have gone before, who have done fractions, who have done whatever it is that is there to be done, and shown us that it's possible to do it. It's not just something out there that we're left with an impossibility. We're left with the message that, no, you can't get there from here. In the autobiography of a yogi, there are some delightful passages of the interaction between, there are many, many delightful passages, of course, but particularly the interaction between Yogananda and Sri Yukteswar, his guru. And in one of them, Sri Yukteswar is, in one of their early meetings, Sri Yukteswar is recounting some stories of his childhood. And he says that, he tells the story of how his mother told him that anyone who takes a job and works, quote, under someone else as an employee is a slave, basically. And somehow that message really penetrated for Sri Yukteswar, and so he never, ever took a position in life. He had some family money and he invested it, but his message was interesting to Yogananda. He said, the mind of a child is very malleable, is very absorbent of ideas. What's that? Plastic, thank you. And we want to feed good ideas in. We want to give positive messages. We saw a movie the other night in which a young girl is growing up with tons of creative ideas, and later on grows into womanhood and gets married, has a child, and life starts to kind of squash down. She's a single mom. She has way too many bills to pay. Family struggle all around, and those dreams, those ideas of creativity from childhood are starting to get pushed back into the memory. And a friend of hers comes and reminds her of how, as children, they had all these dreams, they had all these ambitions that they wanted to achieve. And it's fascinating to see how often adulthood robs us of the freedom, the sense of opportunity, the sense of possibility in our lives. We have to, Christ says, suffer little children to come unto me. We have to remember that essential childlike nature of our souls, because that's who we are. We're not old. We're as old as our minds are. If our minds are flexible and free, then I loved I'm not sure if Master mentioned it in Autobiography of a Yogi, but the dedication in Autobiography of a Yogi is to Luther Burbank, an American saint. And Luther Burbank lived in Santa Rosa, not terribly far from here. And I used to live in the area there, so we were in and back from Santa Rosa many times and visited the place, his home, which is a museum now. He had a lovely expression, and I don't know that I can quote it, but he said, he was 75 years old at the time that he was with Master at that point. He said, I am as inquisitive as I was when I was 8 years old. I can still jump over the garden gate. I can still kick the chandelier. Can still kick the chandelier. That's not bad. There's a lot of people who can't kick the chandelier. Physically, mentally, spiritually, let us kick the chandelier. Let us find that part of ourselves that is free in the light, in the love of God. And let us reflect more and more and more of it to all the world around us, because that's the next grade. That's the grade where they do fractions. And yes, it causes us to have to get beyond who we thought we were. Get beyond the sense of, oh, but this is myself. This is who I am. And this is the danger of the years that pile on, because it's like the thought process goes around and around and around. I watched a video the other day of, I sincerely hope this is not the future of housing, but anyway, it was an intriguing video. You know how a printer, like a dot matrix printer or a laser printer or an inkjet printer, will send little jets of ink in a pattern and it forms the letters or the picture or whatever it is that you're printing. Well, somebody made one of these things on a huge scale, and instead of printing ink, and we've heard of 3D printers, I think, that can print plastic. And, the other day I broke the cup that fits on the top of the coffee grinder. And, there's a little nib that sticks out that hits the button, and that stupid little thing broke. The cup is perfectly fine, but I was thinking, if I had a 3D printer and I could print another one of these things, it would be so awesome. But anyway, this thing that was created can print a house. And it prints it, with this huge nozzle that's snorting out concrete or something. And it just follows this. It was really fascinating to watch. It's just moving around, following the walls of the house. And it, when it hits a window, it stops spitting the concrete there. And at the other side, it starts up again. And it just, it's sort of icing on a cake, working its way around in circles until it comes up to the top of a house. I don't know that I like the vibration of that. How much vibration would it have? Neither here nor there. All of us have, in one way or another, laid the bricks around our consciousness. And every now and again, we need to break open the walls and say, there's more. There's more. There is an enormous universe, 14 billion light years across, or whatever, doesn't even matter. I was seeing a photograph of two, they were looking, this telescope was looking at a galaxy that was extremely unusual. And what they finally figured out was it's not a galaxy, it's two galaxies colliding and, interacting with each other as they smash into each other. And, why would a galaxy form that way was the obvious question. Well, it didn't. It was two of them coming together. All of us live in a universe that is enormously more. We ourselves have potential that we have only glimpsed or begun to dream of. In meditation, in the expansion of consciousness, let us embrace the possibility that we are far, far more than we ever dreamed that we were. And further than that, let's don't just dream, like the chant that we sang at the beginning, when I awake, not if I awake, when I awake, I'll see thy face. Mother, awake me from my dreams. Mother, awake me in thy light. And then visualize this, hand in hand, we're dancing together in thy light. Take the Divine Mother's hand. She's busy holding her hand out. She's spent a long, long time holding her hand out, waiting. Take my hand. So let us take her hand and dance through this universe together. There's no end to the love and the joy. Nirmala was describing these 8 aspects of God that we can experience and tune into. They are all of them one element or another. They are one flavor or another of the same essential reality. Let us tune into that reality however it comes to us. Sound is the easiest, but light, love, joy, wisdom, power, they all have a capacity to speak to our souls, to speak to our depths. Let us embrace that experience and have more and more and more of it. Namaste.